Email here from Arch. And the subject kind of regards 9/11, what occurred in this country on 9/11. And this has to do with what we were talking about last night, the architects and engineers who are insisting that what we thought we saw on September 11, 2001 is not what happened at all, or what we were told we saw. And Arch writes, Mike, I'm 68. I was 20 when my father died on November 19th, 1962. He made me politically aware. At 10 years old, he had me putting up flyers around the project for Adlai Stevenson. When Kennedy was shot, it was like my father died again. Both figures were bigger than life to me. I wrote an essay about a month ago on the two most definitive examples of denial in this country on a mass scale. I called it Two Icons. They are, you guessed it, the Zapruder film showing the headshot of JFK, and the other being the towers coming down into their own footprints. You don't have to be a ballistics expert or a demolition engineer to understand what you just saw in both cases. When you see a man get his head blown off from the front, it's not a mystery where the bullet came from. Thanks to the scumbag Arlen Specter of the magic bullet theory, who should be in a grave with a noose around his neck, the media, the Warren Report, and the U.S. government, the citizenry, was put to sleep. Then we have the fully documented vision of the towers in a controlled demolition, which we've seen thousands of times, and still believe 19 Saudis did it with 3 hijacked planes. It's funny because the official version corrects those who would call the Saudis Iraqis and say, no, it was Saudis, none of which means anything. But the real reason people believe the official version of both tales is that they can't face the implications of the actual truth. If the government killed Kennedy, it meant we were all in danger. No one would dare rebel. The same with 9/11. If it's known that Bush and Cheney were responsible, that's even more horrible to imagine. What recourse is there? The White House is a crypt of bloody secrets, and there is no one who will give them up. I'm lucky my daughters are grown and each have a handle on her life. I truly care about you, Kathy, and Molly. You are my friends. I spend each night listening to you because there aren't enough people in my life to discuss these things with. I read and pay attention, and sometimes I feel like Chicken Little. I have lots of friends here, but I am lonely. Arch. Yeah, thanks, Arch. I appreciate the comments there at the end about how you consider Kathy and Molly and me. That's very sweet, very kind. I would agree. And for those who have just either weren't around, which is about almost everybody when Kennedy was assassinated and that horrible weekend unfolded, all the murders that occurred on that weekend, Tippit, Kennedy, Oswald, and who insists that there was no there, that it was what the Warren Commission said it was, a lone gunman who was a pro-communist. He worked for the Free Cuba Committee. Remember all that? Those of you who are old enough, those of you who aren't old enough, maybe you have read about it. I don't know what the history books say at this point regarding that incident. But all you have to do to draw a line from the assassination of Kennedy to the murder of 3,000 people on our soil on September 11, 2001, the line is very straight. And the starting point is Operation Northwoods. It's all there. Damn it. I don't know why everybody has not. Go to Wikipedia. That's all you have to do. Type in Operation Northwoods and see what you come up with. And as you read what Operation Northwoods was, as laid out in government documents, as you discover what the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the great and good United States of America circa 1961-62 had in mind for its own citizens, once you read that, and compare it chapter and verse to what happened on September 11, 2001. If you don't see that the official story of 9/11 is a goddamn lie, if you don't see that, then go back to sleep. Because there's nothing that will reach you. Nothing that will reach you. Operation Northwoods, that was put together 50 years before the attacks of September 11, 2001. And it's a blueprint. Read it! It's a blueprint. It's a predictive blueprint. The events that occurred on September 11, 2001 are exactly the events that the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States military laid out 50 years earlier and were ready to put into effect until Kennedy said no, and then they murdered Kennedy. Period. End of story. I mean, this, go with Occam's razor. Usually, in a given situation, the most obvious and simple explanation is the right explanation. That's all. So, and the further we get away from the events of November 22nd, 1963, and the further we get away from the events of September 11th, 2001, the less chance there is of reaching into the memory hole and trying to retrieve the truth. So, people in my age group will never know the truth of either event. Never. There's not enough time. And we have gotten further away from those two truths than closer to them with the passage of time. And that's the way it's going to continue. Until some point in the distant political future where we will find out what really caused the shots on Fort Sumter, so to speak. Not what the revisionists want us to believe.